This episode of the Gamerheads podcast is brought to you by Seven Bridges Premium Gourmet Yum Yum Sauce. Enhance every bite with our savory blends of flavors, perfect for meats, vegetables, and crispy treats. Whether you're dipping, drizzling, marinating, grilling, roasting, or snacking, Seven Bridges Yum Yum Sauce takes your culinary experience to the next level. Get yours today and make every meal a gourmet delight.
Hi, I'm Celia Schilling from Yacht Club Games.
Hey, this is James from Mega Cat Studios.
Hey folks, this is Matt, aka Stormageddon from Reignite and the Fun and Games podcast.
This is Stephanie from the Boss Rush podcast and the Boss Rush Network.
Hey, this is Mark and Keon from Bunte Avond.
Hey, this is Sebastian with the ProNerdReport.com and the Single Player Experience podcast.
Hi, this is Chris.
Mike.
And Garrett from Daylight Basement Studio.
Hey, this is Baron J67 from Level 1 Gaming.
Hi, I'm Jacob McCourt from the Left Behind Game Club, Crossplay Conversations, and Video Game Trivia.
Hey, this is Todd Mitchell from Code Right Play.
Salutations, this is Mike Carroll from Stroll Art.
Hey, this is Jeff Moonen from Fun and Games Podcast.
What's good, y'all? This is Adam from Respawn Aimfire.
Hey, this is Patrick from the Backlog Odyssey.
Hey, this is Rune from Runic Codes.
Hi, this is Andrew from Spalato Bros.
Hi everyone, Jill Grote here from the Indie Informer.
Hello, this is the Crypt Master, and you're listening to Roger You're listening to Roger on the Gamerheads podcast.
I had to get that in before the recording started. And you listeners will never know.
None the wiser.
None the wiser. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Gamerheads podcast. How's everybody doing? I am Mike, once again, joined by our good friend and co-host Phil. Phil, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. The end of a long day of work, on the tail end of my work week, so my brain's a little fried, and my words are a little bit more mumbled than usual, and I am oddly 100% dead-ass sober as I say these words.
Ooh, congratulations.
I mean, I'm about to change that, but I mean, at this exact second, I am dead-ass sober. It's all going to change.
Congratulations on being 45 minutes clean.
Yep. I worked an entire shift today without consuming any kind of mind-altering substances. Yay me.
Yay. So, yes, and something we didn't talk about last week until the end of the podcast, so I'll make sure we're throwing on here. Go to Patreon. I'm not even gonna do an intro. Listeners, get your asses over to Patreon and start giving us money. Roger's being nice about it. I'm just going to throw it out there. What's the matter with you? You think we do this every week out of the kindness of our hearts? No. Give us money. Money now. Us a money needing now. Phil, do you want to add anything to it?
Yeah, I do actually. I give money to a lot of various different outlets that entertain me that are cost-free just because I'm okay with giving money to things that I derive some type of enjoyment out of. I'm even going to go as far as likening and saying, and I might get flamed for this if anybody ever would tweet at me or respond to me on anything on Twitter, I give money to Pokemon Go from time to time. I've been playing the game for 7 or 8 fucking years at this point. And if I want an extra 1,000 coins, I will gladly give you $10 once, twice a year. What's $20 for something that has given me hours upon hours of entertainment and enjoyment? It only makes sense to me. Like, same thing with Fortnite and even Overwatch. Like, I'll buy the Battle Pass every single season just because. Not necessarily with Fortnite, I've fallen off pretty hard, but with Overwatch I will, because it's now a free-to-play game that I no longer have to pay anything for, and you want $10 every 45 days, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also, thank you to those of you who are our patrons, such as Phil.
Jill.
Matt.
And Sarah.
All right. We can always edit that back in if we forgot. We don't have show notes, everybody. That's Roger's thing. By the way, Roger is still out of the office at this point, but it's okay. So right now he is in the Blair Woods in Maryland. He heard some stories about a sandwich out there, so he's out in the woods looking for this sandwich shop that has the best. We told him about the Blair sandwich. So
I must have misread his text. I thought he was looking for a sandwich.
Well, that's next door. That's in the next town over. So he'll get a sandwich and then a sandwich while he goes golfing.
Got it.
So he'll come back and let us know all about his delicious sandwich that he got at the Blair sandwich shop or something. I don't know where I'm going with this. But yeah, Roger will be back soon, eventually, sometime.
Maybe, if we let him back. Because at this point, we've taken the reins of the show. We've got all access to everything. So
that's right.
We've kind of just made him a moot point.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. And you know what, though? It is a good transition to our next off-topic topic. Horror. I've been watching some horror movies. So I'm going to throw some information out there. I saw this movie called In a Violent Nature over the weekend. Because I'm, obviously all in on spooky season. And this movie is like it's basically like a Friday the 13th movie if the camera followed Jason the entire movie.
Ooh.
Let me just change that phone there really quick. There we go. All right. Yeah, it was okay. A lot of like just walking in the woods.
No.
That's basically what like almost half the movie was. So the kill, like there was one kill that was incredible. In it, and there were some other cool moments, but all in all, it was just okay. I think that they could have probably shaved about 20 minutes to a half hour off of it, and it would have been better.
Ooh. How long was it to start with?
I think it was like an hour 40.
Okay.
Hour
so
35,
full-length movie.
something like that. Yeah. So, but yeah, not a bad concept. I think if they make another one, they could probably do a lot better with it. So, and then yesterday I went to the theater and I saw Terrifier 3.
How was it? Bloody horror-y good time?
So let me say this: a friend of mine who likes horror, but she's not as into horror as I am. She's like, "How does it compare to Saw?" And I'm like, "Terrifier 3 makes Saw look like Finding Nemo."
Ooh.
I have never seen a movie that gory and like depraved in my life. Depraved, I'm not just gonna say depraved in a sexual way, but like just like a depraved, because I'm not a big fan of like sexual horror. To me that's just
right.
But the kills in this, it almost made my stomach turn. And I've seen my fair share of gory horror movies.
Right.
So good movie. I'll never watch it again.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's intense, man. It's a scene, man. That's what I'll say.
Is it as torture porny as Saw is?
I mean, violence for the sake of violence, or it's just like, it's not torture porn, but it's like it's a slasher, but it's like it's a slasher movie cranked up to like 9,000.
Okay.
If you've seen the second one, they add some more lore to it, which is pretty cool. It's not just mindless killing, so there's some additional, and the acting is really well done. The characters are, yeah. But yeah, for an indie horror movie, like it was a good movie. It was well done. I don't regret seeing it, but yeah, my stomach was not my friend for the rest of that day.
The envelope had been pushed.
Yes, the envelope. Yes, that's what I said to my buddies. I'm like, there's a line, like there's a line that like where it's like too much. It's like I discovered a third line. So when I saw Terrifier 2 crossed the line of gore and horror into, it was so like over the top that it became comedy.
Right.
Almost like an Evil Dead type situation. Mm-hmm. Evil Dead 2, where it became comedy. I think the term that Sam Raimi used is called splat stick. So where it's like so gory that it's funny almost.
Right.
This Terrifier 3 took it past the comedy, where it came back around and became disturbing again.
All right.
Yeah, it's like I mean, hey, if you like those types of, did you ever see any of the other movies?
I saw the first one, 4 or 5 years ago or so, I want to say.
It's been out for a while.
Shortly after it originally came out. I've never seen the second one, though, just because my other half is not interested at all in watching horror movies. So it's one of those things that I got to sneakily do, which makes it sound super shady. But yeah, if she walks in and I'm watching a horror movie, she's like, really? Why? Turn it off, please. And I'm like, but you're just going to lay on the couch and watch Forbidden Love or whatever fucking reality show you're watching right now.
See, I'm lucky. And see, my wife is I would never subject her to a movie like that. Like, we'll go see the new Smile movie, and
Mhm.
any horror movie she'll go see with me. But at the same time, the reason I hang out in the basement so much is because she's upstairs watching Sister Wives or whatever one of those
Right.
other So
That's why Rachel has headphones and watches everything on her laptop. So that way, like, when we first got together, this is, oh, wow, we are way derailed. But that's okay. Welcome to the Gamerheads podcast.
we're stalling for time.
Yeah, sure. Or we're just having a conversation recording it, whichever.
That's a good call.
When we first started dating, she would watch The Bachelor without headphones on. And I went out like probably 2 months into us dating. I'm like, here, these are for you. And she's like, why are you buying me headphones? And I'm like, I have never heard a television show that makes me feel stupider as it's happening. I equated it to my teenage years and doing whippets, where it was the only drug I've ever done where I could feel myself being dumber or getting dumber as I was doing it.
I did the same. I never bought her headphones, but I would have to walk out of the room whenever she would turn on the Kardashians show, because I'd be like, I'm getting dumber just being in the presence of this show.
Mm-hmm.
And it would just anger me, and then I would just walk out in anger at just the audacity of that show. Anyway,
it got to the point where I was scheduling myself to work later on the night that The Bachelorette or The Bachelor was on, so that way I wouldn't be home until 9 o'clock when it was done. And like miraculously, I'd walk in at 9:02, we'll say, and just be like, "Oh, darn it, I missed The Bachelor. That sucks."
What are the odds?
You want to play some Rayman Legends?
Oh, I love that game.
Yeah. Anyways, that's.
I'm just sorry. I'm just reminiscing about Rayman Legends now.
Black Betty came on somewhere. We were somewhere the other day, and that song came on. Oh, we were just a bar that's close to the house, and it came on. And I looked at Rachel, and I'm just like, I miss Rayman.
When I first played that game, I'm like, why? First of all, it pisses me off that they never made any other games similar to Rayman Legends after how amazing it was. Secondly, when I played Rayman Legends for the first time, I'm like, this game, Ubisoft needs to work with Warner Brothers to make a Looney Tunes game exactly like this.
Absolutely.
And it would be amazing, but alas, that never happened.
No. And now we just get stuck with the same formula from every Ubisoft game, except for the Star Wars game, I understand, is not the same Ubisoft formula.
Dude, I was she slaps a stormtrooper. And it's like an open hand slap. Like, I've seen these videos. Open hand slap to the back of a stormtrooper, and the stormtrooper goes down in one hit in that game. It's laughable. From what I heard, I'm not gonna say the game's awful because I haven't played it, but from the videos I've seen, it looks pretty funny.
Well, the good news is, the stormtrooper can't hit you back.
That's true, even if they tried.
It's like shadow boxing.
Yeah. All right, let's get on with the show. So, first up, we have our icebreaker. So, since we're still in spooky season, let's keep the talk going in regards to horror games. So, here's what we're going to do. We are going to take a horror video game, and we're going to flip it around, make a new game with it, but it can't be the same genre as the other game. So, like, for example, if you're making a new Splatterhouse game, it cannot be a 2D side-scrolling action game, right? Or if you're making another BioShock game, it cannot be a first-person shooter. It has to be something else.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want me to go, or do you want to go first?
I was thinking we could go back and forth. How many do you have?
I got 2.
In that case, I'll go first. I got 3.
Okay, cool.
My first thought that I had, and I went way outside of the box in a lot of my thinking, is I would like to make a Castlevania game, but it's not going to be a side-scroller or even a 3D game. I want to make it like Pokémon Go, where you're collecting the various creatures from Castlevania, and your boss fights are going to be your big raids and your mega raids and things like that. And maybe once every 6 months you actually get to fight against Dracula, but you're out there collecting all of these things, not necessarily for an army, but just to take them out and have them and keep them out of the world.
I love that. And have you ever played Dawn of Sorrow or whatever one came before it, Aria of Sorrow?
I don't think so.
Okay, so do you have the Castlevania Advance Collection?
I believe so.
Okay, well, if you don't, pick it up. Great games. Dawn of Sorrow and Aria of Sorrow, they're Dawn of Sorrow is a sequel to Aria of Sorrow, and in those games, when you kill an enemy, depending on luck and RNGs, you might collect their soul, which gives you a weapon. So like if you kill a bat randomly, you might get the bat's soul, and then the attack button that uses the hearts, you're throwing a bat, and the bat will like swoop down and attack your enemy.
That
So
sounds
you
really
get
cool.
different bonus attacks based on the enemy's soul. So I love that idea, because if you do a Pokemon Go idea with that, where you're taking the enemy's souls like in that same universe. So I think you're onto something, Phil.
Thanks.
Yeah.
How about your first one?
So my first one's out of left field. Did you know that they actually made a video game on one of my favorite horror movies of all time? And that movie is From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes.
You knew that they made a Dusk Till Dawn video game?
I've never played it, but I've heard of it.
Yep. It was on PC only.
That explains why I've never played it.
Yeah, me too. I saw it. I saw it at an electronics boutique back in like 1999 at the mall, and I never bought it because my computer wasn't powerful enough. But I think that they should make a From Dusk Till Dawn game, and that game was like it was almost like Max Payne, I think, almost, or similar to that or something. Even though Max Payne came out later, but I digress. From Dusk Till Dawn, made by the developers that did Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge.
Ooh.
You've got Seth and Richie, George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino. Then you've got Kate, I think was her name. Was Julia Lewis? Is that her name? Yeah. And then Harvey Keitel, who played her dad. Like, those would be your four main characters. Then you could also unlock other characters, such as Tom Savini's Sex Machine with his strategically placed revolver. If you remember that movie.
Yep.
And then some of the other characters, and you're fighting. And there were so many different types of enemies in that movie. There, even though it's like a vampire movie, but there was also, I remember there being vampire dogs, and then there flying ones, and then your basic ones, giant ones. So
yeah.
I think that would make a fun beat 'em up game, a Dusk Till Dawn beat 'em up.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
You could also, I mean, a beat 'em up genre, just as far as like horror based, is something that I'm surprised we don't see more of. Sure, there's been a small handful of them, but like, especially when the zombie craze was running wild, why didn't we see more zombie beat 'em ups outside of the Dead Rising and that type of game?
And not only that, you could do like a style, like a Streets of Rage style, 2D pixel one. You get a good enough developer. Night of the Living Dead, that's open open source. That's not the term I'm using. What's the what is it called? Where it's in the.
It's not a protected IP?
No, yeah, exactly. I completely forgot what that technical term is. Like the Mickey Mouse cartoon just entered that.
Yep.
Oh well. Well, I'll wake up at 2 a.m. and call you when I.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll still be awake more than likely.
So yeah, Public Domain. That was it.
There we go. Yeah. It's actually a comic book series I'm currently reading as well. It's called Public Domain. You'd think I'd remember that, but here we are.
So yeah, I think a Night of the Living Dead beat 'em up would be pretty cool too. All right, what's your next one?
My next one is going to be based in the Resident Evil universe, but I am going to turn it into a match 3 fighting game like Puzzle Quest, where you're playing your way through the Resident Evil games and having to take out zombies along the way, and occasionally, of course, boss battle type of a situation. You can play your way through all of the Resident Evil games in one sit-down Resident Evil Pocket Fighters, or whatever the hell you might want to call it.
Yeah, I like that. Could go
silly, goofy, a way to like just kind of introduce the lore to people, because sometimes the lore did get a little bit confusing, and this is a way that you could kind of flesh out that story to new people and make them understand exactly what was happening with the Umbrella Academy. Or Corporation. Jesus, there goes my brain.
Umbrella, that's something
again.
Else, yeah. I caught it. Cool. I like that idea. I would definitely play a Resident Evil match 3 game. That would be fun. Would it be like chibi graphics where like everybody looks like children?
God, I hope not.
Okay. I hope
That-
not.
sorry,
It's your
that-
game, Phil. It's your game.
Well, I just fired my graphic artist for designing them, Chippy. So we're gonna more maturitize that. Maturize?
Gotcha.
I don't know.
I gotcha. Keep it in the M for mature.
Yeah. What about your next one?
My other one that I have is, so it's going to be a JRPG, because I enjoy a turn-based RPG more than an action RPG. I find it more relaxing. And there were several games based on this IP, and I think this would make an interesting turn-based RPG, and that would be Addams Family RPG.
Oh yeah, hell yes! I'm all in on that game, and I'm not a huge turn-based RPG guy, but an Addams Family one, I would play the hell out of.
Yeah. So, what's that?
I was about to say, tell me more about your idea that you've got going here. Sell me on it so I can be pissed that it's not an actual thing.
I know, right? I'm gonna have you sign an NDA though.
That's
so
fine.
I mean, you've got. What I kind of figured what would happen is you would rescue different members of the family, and then they would join the team. You could swap them out. Obviously, they all have different moves. Even Thing would have. Would be a character, or Thing could always be like a side, or even like a summon or something like that. But Fester would have like electric based attacks. Pugsley like with knives. The characters are so they're so different in each way. They would have their own personalities, but it could be a mixture of them fighting just like real people, just like normal people, like
just the neighbors.
Yeah, like suburbanites, or they could journey underneath their mansion, to fight monsters and things like that. But I think that would be a lot of fun. But here's the thing though. I would base it on the classic comic, that art style.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not talking Raul Julia and whatever her name, Christopher Lloyd. Angelica Houston, right?
Yes.
Angelette. That's a razor.
That's what you shave your nether parts with, is an Angelette.
Yeah. So I think that would be a real fun turn-based RPG.
I even picture. Go ahead, sorry, man.
I was just saying, even with like the animation and style, like even if the entire thing was in black and white, I think that would be cool too.
I was even picturing using the main house as like your home base as you go out on side quests, and you can go down into like Fester's laboratory to upgrade your weapons and your skills and things like that, where you bring whatever back and he can turn them into things in his mad scientist-y type of way. Man, I am all in on that game.
So yeah, so that would be my other idea.
Okay, my last one that I just kind of came up with the spur of the moment as I put a lot of thought into this is I'm going to take Alan Wake 2, and I specify Alan Wake 2 just because it is the most recent Alan Wake, and I'm going to turn it into a visual novel.
Oh.
But it's not going to follow the Alan Wake side of things. In Alan Wake 2, there is a character named Mr. Door who is a talk show host. And you're essentially going to play through the Alan Wake game from his point of view with a visual novel where your choices will impact the way that the show goes and the show plays out.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Just thought it was a different, unique twist on things. And like,
that could work, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's another way to flesh out the Alan Wake universe, which I'm a huge fan of. As if anybody's ever listened to the show previously, you've heard me talk about my love of Alan Wake, and I just like to see more expansions for anything having to do with Alan Wake.
Actually, now that you mention that, there is a Xbox event coming up this week. Actually, by the time you hear this, it'll probably be over. But there's an Xbox partner showcase, and I think there's a rumor that they're going to be talking about Alan Wake DLC.
Okay. I thought that was already announced, or maybe that was one of those weird fever dreams that I have.
No, I think it was, but I think they're going into it a little bit more.
Gotcha.
I like your idea. I also like, kind of as a throwback to the first one, a visual novel or something like that based on, was that Bright Falls?
Yep.
And make it like an anthology game where it's not just one big story, where it's like 4 separate stories in one game.
kind of like my idea that I had almost, what was that, last week or the week before, where we were doing Supermassive things. And the one that I had off the air was, Tales from the Crypt one. I was just like, oh, damn it, where was that thought when we were on the air?
Yeah. So cool. That was I like those ideas. See, this is why we need to start our own company. You got a few $1 million laying around that we can invest into. Let me check my wallet.
I got a bunch of comic books. Those might be worth something.
There we go. Yeah, I've got a life insurance policy.
Well, I think, Mike, in order for us to get that life insurance policy, we're going to have to take care of some other business first.
Hey, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, right? Do you want to get hung up on details, or do you want results?
Results, damn it, results! I'm on my way.
All right, so let's get into what we've been playing. So I'll go first on that. I haven't played a whole lot. It's all been Halloween related. So I've been playing Fortnite, getting into Fortnitemares to try to collect some of the freebies. I did make a purchase. Like you were talking earlier about buying some of the DLC and stuff. So I did buy Billy the Puppet because I'm a big fan. I love Saw. It's good times. So I bought the Billy the Puppet skin. So I've just been playing some of that Fortnite. Nothing crazy. I also got back into Fall Guys because now Fall Guys has a Halloween themed battle pass, and there's some good stuff in there. There's a werewolf, there's a ghost, although they really missed an opportunity by having a ghost with a bunch of eyes cut out to go on the whole Charlie Brown motif.
Yep.
There's a ghost, there's a cool looking scarecrow, there's an old school vampire with like the slicked back hair,
Really?
Yeah. And a couple other items, but it's all Halloween, and I love my Halloween, so I've been knee deep in Fall Guys. That's about it. Nothing crazy. The only other game I've been playing is the game we'll be talking about during our spooky season assignments. So, Phil, how about you? What you been playing?
Obviously, I've been playing all of the usuals. A new season of the show started this Friday. A new season of Overwatch starts tomorrow, which would be Tuesday the 15th. So I'm investing a lot of time into both of those. But I did decide to check out a game on Game Pass that looked like it might be kind of amusing. It is called Mad Streets. It is, speaking of beat-em-ups, it's basically a beat-em-up. It's a team-based beat-em-up, and I think you can play up to 4 players versus 4 players maybe in it as well. I didn't spend too much time with it. I played through the story mode with one of the factions. There's 4 different factions, if I remember correctly. I played with the punks because they look cooler than the jocks and the nerds and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, ooh, punk rock guys, let's go play with them.
Can I do a timeout real quick? You're talking about jocks and punks and nerds. It made me think of my favorite episode of American Dad. I don't know if you ever watched American Dad. I
like American Dad.
The great show. There was an episode, so I don't know what the episode is called. Maybe I could try to find it for you. But there was an episode where what was his name? Steve, the son, had a girlfriend, and the girlfriend got pranked by some of the other kids. So like he went and got revenge on all them. And towards the end of the episode, the principal, or everybody found out that they were behind all this revenge stuff. So they were all trying to beat him up, and it turned into an amazing parody of the Warriors.
I remember that.
Where the principal was going over the loudspeaker like the radio host in the Warriors, and just like, and all the different factions of the school were trying to stop them from getting out, and it was a great episode. Every time that episode comes on, I always make sure I watch it. But you just made me think of it by saying all the different
all of your different cliche troops.
Cliched, yeah, exactly. Yep. So, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. But this is kind of, I'm going to call it a physics-based fighter, just for a lack of better way to phrase it. Each of the different buttons does do like a different attack, like a high punch, low punch, high kick, low kick type of a thing. But it's very floaty and wonky feeling. And so I got next to zero enjoyment out of getting the 1,000 achievement points that I got out of playing through the story mode. I don't recommend playing it. It looked like it was going to be a lot cooler than it was, just based on the stills. The animation style itself seemed okay. And I thought like the level designs are kind of like almost arena brawls, very tight quarters. But just due to how loose everything is, there's no real need to counter or anything like that. It wasn't worth the time that I put into it, even for the 100 achievement points.
Gotcha.
So if that's on your list, just do yourself a favor and delete it.
No need for it. Gotcha. All right.
No.
Well, thanks for jumping on that grenade for us.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for, is to play the shitty game so nobody else has to. It's like the old days.
That's right. Oh, we should bring that back.
No!
Tales from the eShop. Well, we should do that when the Switch 2 comes out.
No, you think I'm going to buy a Switch 2, Mike? Have you listened to the previous 3 years worth of the show?
Well, here's the thing: is that you really don't have much of a choice.
What?
Yeah, it came out in our in the Gamerheads newsletter, the staff newsletter. Everyone's
I thought I wrote that.
You did write it. And everyone is required to get a Switch 2. It must have been. See, this is why you should stop all that drinking while you're at work, because then you come up with these diatribes and you send them out, and now that we're all stuck buying a Switch 2.
I only drank at work once, and it was a terrible, terrible idea. You don't do that when you work in a kitchen.
We should all just get in a van and just, drive down to Circuit City and get a Switch 2.
I'll drive into it, find a Circuit City, and I'll grab a Switch 2. I'll tell you that much. All right, tell you what. You find a Circuit City I can go to, I'll buy a Switch 2.
All right, okay, there goes that. All right, you win this round.
Yes, victory.
Okay, so let's chat about... So what's next? Yes. It's our Halloween season thing.
Listener.
Yeah. This is where our good friend comes to visit and assigns us a game. Our good buddy Retro Game Frankenstein. Last week, he stopped by and assigned us the Dead Space remake. So we played through that a little bit, and let's talk about it. So Dead Space remake. It's a remake of Dead Space.
Ooh, that's a unique concept. Tell me more.
Know, right? Well, you're in space, see?
And you're dead.
And there's a lot of dead around you.
Oh, damn it. I played the wrong game.
But basically, it's Resident Evil 4 in space. Or, I'm sorry, maybe I could throw an echo effect when I'll do it again. Resident Evil 4 in space. Then I'll throw an echo in there in post. But anyway, that's essentially what it is. I don't need to get into the whole details and everything. Nope. There's some cool concepts in there. I like the whole religious aspect of it. And you remember the whole story, like the what was it? Unitology was the name of the church. Church of the
Yep.
Where they worship the marker, all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's coming back to me. So I haven't played the original Dead Space, and I learned the day that I booted it up to play it was actually the 16th anniversary of the original Dead Space, which made me realize that I had not played the first Dead Space in 16 years because I bought it when it first came out, played through it, then played through the second and the third when those came out as well. So I haven't touched a Dead Space in a long time. So storyline wise and details from the first one are a little foggy in my pruned brain.
Storyline, basically, you're an engineer going to a ship where they lost contact to see what's going on, and hilarity ensues.
A lot of yuck.
Yeah, a lot of woo, 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 woo. I love it. It's a lot of fun. And here's the thing: when the original Dead Space came out, one of my favorites. I absolutely love Dead Space. And what was so cool about this remake, while I'm playing it, I'm like, I remember that. that. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh no, the babies. Yep. And I'm like, I hate those things. And so it's essentially so from what I'm seeing so far, it's for the most part the same game, only much nicer. I'm playing it in quality mode instead of performance mode. Normally I play games in performance mode, but I'm playing it in quality mode. And man, the lighting on it looks so nice. It looks so nice.
I even sat there as you're originally approaching the ship, and I played with the just with the camera, because as you're sitting in the cockpit of your ship that's approaching, is it the Inquisitor? No, it's not the Inquisitor. Ishimura, there we go. But you're kind of flying like into the sun or a moon of something like that. And I sat there and just moved the camera back and forth just to play with the solar flare coming off of it. I was just like, oh, this is gorgeous. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, it's nice. It's so let's see. I mean, it plays just like I remember, But I had
Absolutely.
forgotten how much I absolutely loved Dead Space as I was playing through it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I loved it so much that I went out and got the movie, and I watched the movie a couple times because I loved the movie.
Yeah.
It was an animated movie. I forgot what Dead Space. I forgot the name of the movie.
I again want to say Inception. I feel as though there's an Inception floating somewhere around me. I don't know. What the hell was it called?
I don't know. Well, maybe you're thinking of Extraction, which was
Yep.
another good game too. That was a Wii game, but it was a speaking of changing genres, that Dead Space Extraction was on the Wii, and it was an on rails shooter, so like a House of the Dead type game. And that game was pretty
Maybe
fun
that
too.
is what I'm thinking of.
I'll have to find that Dead Space movie. I'll have to watch it again because that was really good.
Ignition.
Anyway, Ignition, yes. So
That was no typing that came off the top of the brain, folks. My brain does still work.
And did they also release? They also released a Dead Space graphic novel game, didn't they?
Yeah, like a visual novel type of a thing.
Visual
I
novel,
remember
yeah.
that as well. Maybe that's what Ignition was.
Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, so yeah, so big fan of Dead Space, and then the game, and then I never played Dead Space 2, which I don't know why, but then I understand Dead Space 3 was not good.
Yeah, Dead Space 3 was a little off. If I remember right, 2 was co-op as well.
Oh, might have to fire that.
Or maybe that was 3.
Yeah.
My quick thoughts on this, I'll do it pretty quick. As I was playing this, like you said, everything kind of came flooding back to me, even after 16 years of playing through it. The visual upgrades, the audio upgrades are definitely there. One thing that kind of bothered me is they seem to try to intensify intense scenes. Mm-hmm. I threw those two words together. I did that. By just having the sound of a heartbeat play the entire time.
Yeah.
Which to me became kind of overbearing. Where I'm just like, okay, I get it. I don't need this to be happening. It'd actually be more scary and more intense if you were just giving me dead ass silence right now instead of just the continual do 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 do.
Yeah.
And that kind of irritated me a little bit. Not enough to hinder me from playing the game. But I honestly, I had to talk myself into quit playing it the other day when I was playing it because I had other things that I wanted to do around the house because I was just kind of in that groove and I'm like, oh shit, I'm halfway through chapter 2. I'm just going to make it to the next save spot and keep going.
Yep.
Just get the next weapon. Ah, crap, I got the next weapon. Now I got to play around with this for a little while. All right, I'm just going to, I was finally like, okay, you have to go do laundry. You have to go take the fence out from around the garden. You have to go do other things. But I was fully immersed in it for the time that I played it, and I would not be shocked if I continue to wrap this thing up just because I'm thoroughly enjoying my time with it. One thing that I do want to say is, what was the name of the other game? Oh, Callisto Protocol that came out moderately recently in the last 2-3 years.
Yep.
As I was playing through this, it made me realize why I did not enjoy Callisto Protocol as much as I enjoyed the Dead Space games. It doesn't hold, no pun intended, candle to it. It's just nowhere near the same experience. It's nowhere near as well written or as nicely done either. The Dead Space remake is far superior to Callisto Protocol.
I still need to play Callisto. But let me ask, is Callisto Protocol is it a good game though? I mean, I've got it, so
it's not a bad game, no, but it lacks soul, if that makes any kind of sense. It just doesn't feel like it's got that hardiness behind it where a Dead Space does, where you're kind of emotionally involved. I think I go from the characters, where in Callisto Protocol, everything just kind of seems force-fed to you, where you don't actually give a shit about anything that's happening around you. Mm-hmm. Just my 2 cents.
Gotcha. There's a couple things that got out, and I understand exactly what you're saying about the heartbeat stuff. Yeah, that was a little annoying. 2 things that I'm not a fan of in this game. Well, first of all, one thing I'm going to call out that was amazing since you mentioned it was the sound. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've got I don't know, I've got, I guess it's technically surround sound. I've got 1 big sound bar in front of me and 2 behind me on the sides, so I can tell where things are coming from, or where noises are coming from. And that's scary. I'm not as scared as I was the first time I played it.
No, I did jump. I'll give it that.
Oh yeah, I jumped a few times too, and that is where this is one of the things I didn't like about the game. the reliance on throwing enemies behind you without you knowing.
It's bullshit.
Yep. It happens way too much. And then all of a sudden I'm like shooting at one enemy, and all of a sudden I see an arm coming up, and then I'm just like, oh shit.
As you're backpedaling?
Yeah, or something like and that's not fair. That's I don't like that. Not only that, the other thing I don't like is I turned up the brightness, and it's still very dark. And I know it's dark in order to be scary, but when it's too dark to see the enemies,
it's unfair.
That's unfair. So I'm playing it on easy. I don't know what difficulty you're playing it on.
Oh, I play it on medium.
Okay. See, I'm playing it on easy because, and I fully want to and plan to go all the way into New Game Plus.
Yep.
So that's why I'm playing it on easy, to get stuff maxed out as much as I can. Then I'll start doing New Game Plus. I just hope I can do New Game Plus on a harder difficulty. But I wanted to get through as much of the story and gameplay as possible before we chatted. But I'm able to play this with the lights off. You know, if it's your first time playing it, I could definitely see this being scary as hell.
Oh hell yeah!
But it's absolutely an amazing game. I'm kind of bummed out it didn't sell as well as they wanted it to, which means they're probably not going to do the same thing with Dead Space 2.
Right.
So that's a bummer.
I'm in the same boat as you, though, where I've also been playing it with the lights off, as well as wearing my super high-end, that sounds like such a humble brag, my high-end Turtle Beach surround sound headphones. So, like, I'm getting pinpoint accuracy with headphones on as I'm doing it as well, as far as sound-wise goes. And it adds to the creepiness of everything. And that harkens back to Rachel not liking horror stuff, where I don't want to have the TV cranked, and I'm now just going to immerse myself in my own little world, and then you're going to raise your hand and I'm going to look at you like, you want to talk right now? Do you have any idea what's going on my screen right now? Okay, what do you need?
Yeah.
That's it? Cool.
This is one of those games where the sound, like, there should have I would have given this an award for sound design, because you hear just like the slightest clank in the background, and it keeps you on edge. Like you can
almost hear sparks bouncing off of things.
Yeah. And then when like you hear a growl, and then you hear clink, 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 and as it like goes over your head and behind you.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. That's so good. That adds so much to the game.
Mm-hmm.
So aside from those troublesome annoyances, still an awesome game, and I'm loving it, and I plan to keep on playing it.
Absolutely. Well worth the experience.
Yeah, so...
That being said, Frank, I'm just going to go ahead and invite you in. What do you got for us this week, man?
Hello, boys. It's me, the creature with the controller coccyx, retro game Frankenstein. I hope you are having a fantastic October. I know I am. I'm glad to hear you're having fun with Dead Space. Well, this week you're in for a really scary treat. Your spooky game this week is Inscription, a very creepy card game. In fact, this game is so scary that I had nightmares. But since I'm made from retro games, my nightmares were old episodes of the Double Dragon cartoon. Anywho, enjoyed the game.
Okay. Well, thanks, Frank. So it looks like our next game that we're going to play is Inscription. I appreciate Frank picking this out, considering it's currently on Xbox Game Pass.
Man, he really knows how to pick them, doesn't he?
Yeah. Thanks for saving us some money, buddy. I appreciate it.
Is one of his appendages just a Game Pass subscription that we're not aware of?
That's his soul.
Oh, you know what's happened, actually. Frank doesn't have to deal with Roger this year, so he's not picking any kind of Nintendo stuff. And he's just like, well, there's a bunch of horror games on Game Pass. I know both these guys have got Game Pass, so let's give them the good stuff.
That's true. All right. So, well, I guess that just about does it for this week's episode. Phil, if anyone wants to get a hold of you, how can they do so?
You can find me at Twitter at Beanout23. Not a Ouija board quite yet. Give it a couple of weeks. I'm doing my best to speed up that process.
I've got my Ouija board hardwired to the internet, so if you can go on your Ouija board and just go to Pez Guy Mike, also on Twitter, then reach out to me and I'll say hi. So
I was wondering if we could like exchange things, like what was that, the 3DS that you could get your Street Pass things, if we could get Ouija board Street Passes.
Oh, I miss Street Pass. I really do. And I wish, and I know it's not going to happen, and I guess we're going back into Nintendo. I wish that Nintendo would incorporate Street Pass into the Joy-Cons, so that way you can like just toss the Joy-Con, or like have a detachable Street Pass thing that you could just like fit
It's
into your
like
pocket.
Joy-Cons are detachable, like the Pokemon
Well, like
ball for Pokemon
like a
Go.
smaller one, kind of like a like the ball, or like what are those things? Those that Find My iPhone things on iTag on Apple,
Like
Tag
an
or
AirTag
something?
or whatever. Yeah,
Like an AirTag, like just something like that slides right out of the system, put in your pocket. That's not going to happen though, because unfortunately Iwata is not around, and they don't have that as much of that imagination, I would say, anymore.
I'd go with creativity, Nintendo.
Same
You guys
thing.
lack creativity.
Yeah. So, but I would love if they brought Street Pass back somehow.
Would be pretty fun.
Yes. But anywho, you could find me on Twitter at PezGuyMike, and then you can also find all sorts of reviews by our review crew over at Phil.
Gamerheadspodcast.com.
All right.
That was my
All right.
Christian throwback.
That's right.
You can also follow Roger at Nintenraj on Twitter, and you can follow the podcast itself. I believe it's Gamerheads Pod on Twitter.
Yep.
Reach out, get in contact with us. We got some good stuff up there. Lots of good content on gamerheadspodcast.com as well. Like we were saying, you can go back listen to old episodes of this show, which you can go and find anywhere. You can find recently a video resurfaced from when we had Jacob on the show, and we did the trivia thing. And last night in a 1:30 in the morning stage, I went back and rewatched that entire thing. And with me being me and having the memory span of a goldfish, I had zero recollection of the questions that were asked, and I played along with myself. And weirdly enough, I answered the questions almost the same way every time.
Nice. And then also go to Patreon and give us money.
All the money, damn it. It's fundraising season.
Yes, give us all.
And coming up, speaking of fundraising season, I believe in November, Roger is planning on doing Extra Life on stream as well, over on twitch.com. I believe that's also Gamerheads Pod over there. He's talking about maybe doing a different format this year, which is going to be a little bit easier on his mind and body and soul, and won't have me trying to get him to play scary games into the middle of the night, as well as Mike. But chances are you'll also see both of us make an appearance on there at some point, as well as he's doing the Extra Life stream to raise money for, I believe it's children's hospitals, if I recall correctly. I don't know. It's been a year. I don't remember things very well, but it's for a good cause. Come over, donate. Roger always does a really good job of acquiring a bunch of prizes to give away to listeners and or viewers, to the point where sometimes there's even some left over, and he just goes and holds a parade in front of his house and just makes it rain gift cards. It's insane.
Yep, absolutely. Good call out, Phil. All right, so good. So thanks, everybody. And until next week, stay safe and game on. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. So long.
Take care.
Bye.